So when it becomes so ingrained, like, I'll give you an example. As a Western American, the idea of living in a space that's not a meritocracy is just, that's just not how the world works. If you work hard, you succeed. That's how it works, right? Everybody knows that. Yeah. Do they?
Yeah.
And is that even true? You know what I'm saying? Like, really?
Well, it depends how you work and where you work and who you know.
Exactly.
Right?
So we all know that it's not that simple.
Right.
But you don't, it's so normal in our culture that you don't notice it anymore. So, because it's so far back, right? So the cement is settled. It is what it is. So when you have all the way back to the doctrine of discovery, you know, in the 1200s, that like, oh, go explore the world, and if you make war with savages, it's already in. This means the Pope. It's not really killing because they're not necessarily image bearers, right? You're doing it in the name of the Lord. That's the doctrine of discovery. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then you fast forward that, you know what I'm saying, to when you go and discover. Like, I'm already in my head. I'm like, I mean, they're beneath us. You know what I'm saying? And then you build a nation where that in our founding documents, Native Americans are referred to as savages. You know what I'm saying? That's the second. It's the second. Nobody memorizes the second paragraph. You know what I'm saying? Right? You know, and then, you know, how do you make the slave thing work? Well, if you already believe that because of the shape of African skulls and that they kind of look like apes, then maybe they're not. You know what I'm saying? That's in. So it gets in the groundwater. You know what I'm saying? So there's a thing that, like, at some point you stop noticing, because no one could say that. We can't really say that now, and you probably don't think that now. Right. It's just in the groundwater. You know what I'm saying? So
it's subconscious.
Yeah. Once it's in the water, it's just the waters you're swimming in. Right?
So then, when there are clearly issues of injustice and the pushback, which was in 2016, which was very frustrating, was, well, let's let the facts come out. Well, what did they do to deserve that? Right? I remember that was the thing, like when Trayvon Martin got killed. It's like, well, what did they do? Whoa, what did he do? He's a 15-year-old kid walking from the liquor store. Like, he didn't deserve anything.
See, exactly. You know what I mean? See, that's meritocracy. You're thinking, if this is what happened, then it's because you deserved it. Right? And what every woman in the world and every person of color in the world is saying, it's not that simple. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. So yeah, I just think there's like, when your constructs begin to get challenged, you know what I'm saying, that it's hard, because this is a foundation of your identity. Right? Manifest destiny. That's like, you're saying this was God's will. You feel me? So it's just, if it's ingrained into your very construction of personhood, when someone says you have to revise history, this is not what happened. You know what I'm saying? Your founding fathers weren't wonderful humans. You know what I'm saying? They were totally wrong about A, B, C, and D. What are you talking about? Like, America was founded on a genocide. I don't know what you want me to tell you. That's just what happened. You know what I'm saying? Well, that means that you I have to rethink so much about myself. Right. That sometimes I found that that's actually what I'm asking of people. I'm asking you to rethink the totality of your identity. You know what I'm saying? Because now the legs are now falling off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's hard. It is hard, and I think it's to me, when we hit the intersection of faith and social issues. To me, it's always interesting that people from the faith community could be like, yeah, total depravity. Like, man is sinful. There's total depravity. It's like, cool. Like, we'll okay, cool. Total depravity. Yeah, you know, America is drifting from God's ways, right? You hear that. But it's I don't know if it's just ignorance or whatever, but it's so interesting that they think that the issues in Black and brown communities somehow happened in a vacuum. And they don't. It doesn't bleed over, and that racism, the sin of racism, can't be embedded systemically into culture, society, multi-generation. Like, it's so interesting how we compartmentalize those things. We're okay with saying man is sinful, but not systems.
Which is systemic.
Right.
You know, the federal headship, the idea that we're all suffering because of Adam's choices.
It's systemic.
Systemic.
Wow, that's good.
You know what I'm saying? That's a systemic problem. You feel me?
Yeah.
So you understood that we need a systemic solution.
Right.
That no amount of good deed. I mean, if you're a Christian, you can't be like, well, I wasn't in the garden. Well, then you don't. Right. Then that's not our gospel. You know what I mean?
Right.
So how you can't make that jump is and you're only left with, like you said before, that there must be something wrong with brown people. But what's interesting in a very very cruel and sad way is what the opioid epidemic has done. Is when given similar ingredients of a highly addictive narcotic being put in your community, coupled with the lack of opportunity, right? And the lack of job and food security, you know what I'm saying? These people have turned into a life of crime and of drug, right? Yeah. That was placed on them because of financial gain, right? And now they're in this place where they need an entire swath of our community needs the assistance of other swaths of our community to recognize that there is a problem that is above them, that these people didn't necessarily make these choices, but were given a certain amount of ingredients that cause these choices to be the most viable and the most logical. To me, that sounds very familiar. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's crack in the 80s.
It's crack in the 80s. So what...
But now it's an epidemic.
Now it's an epidemic.
Epidemic.
Now it's an opioid epidemic. You know what I mean? But the ingredients are very similar. There was a financial incentive, right? Yeah. There's a
let's talk about the financial incentive, because this isn't on some loony, weird conspiracy things, right? Like, we're talking about the CIA openly coming out and saying we were complicit.
We did this on purpose.
Yeah, that we allowed and we were complicit. This is documented. This isn't no, you know what I mean? Yeah. That the CIA allowed the
distribution of crack
and guns to fund the rebels in Nicaragua.
Nicaragua, the Iran-Contra scandal,
Crazy. But we think that happens in a vacuum.
No, that happened. Yeah.
Really happened.
Yeah.
And then the subsequent war on drugs, right? I'm trying to walk people through some of this stuff, because they don't, you know what I mean? Like, then this is post civil rights, post Jim Crow, but this is what happened. Yeah. These drugs flooded the streets. The guns flooded the streets. Yeah. And why? Because Reagan wanted to fund the rebels.
Cover that,
yeah. And so they couldn't directly fund it, so they funded it by
it's the Iran-Contra scandal. Like, somebody just Google Oliver North.
Right. Yeah. And so this whole thing comes out, and then they punish these petty drug offenders with the craziest until the Affordable Sentencing Act of 2012, where they lowered the coke to crack sentencing disparity from like 1 to like 102 or something. And they lowered it to like 100.
It was 100 to 1. So 1 ounce of crack gave you the same amount of jail time as 100 ounces of cocaine.
Crazy.
So then they changed it to 18 ounces of cocaine.
Yeah. And they say, and people always say, well, this is like Jordan Peterson and Ben Shapiro. Well, if there's systemic racism, show me a law that's still racist. It's like that one. 1 to 18.
Yeah.
And who does that affect? That affects communities of color. That affects black and brown people and poor people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Redlining. There's another one. You want another law?
Yeah.
Redlining.
Yeah. How impactful do you think redlining was in the development of wealth in the black community? Because that's right, buying homes, passing homes down, best way to build wealth, right?
Yeah.
You have entire communities that were prevented from buying homes. Yeah. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I'd have to talk about the Homestead Act first. So to make a little more sense, at the end of the Civil War, we just decimated our workforce, you know what I'm saying, in our land, and the government needed people to move from these densely populated urban areas to go fill Louisiana Purchase, go fill these plains, so they were offering lands where you just paid the taxes on it. So the land was free, you just paid the taxes. In return, you got to farm it. But if you don't know how to farm it, the government will pay for you to learn how to farm. If you don't have any tools, they'll loan the tools for you, right? So you were given a plot of land, and you were given the training to serve this land, and you were given the land for free, right? Okay, that's a government handout. Yeah, it's a government program. It's just in the 1800s. So when that happens, that person is able to build wealth. But if a black family wasn't allowed to do that until 100 years later, then you're building, like you said, generational, but like that's 4 generations. You know what I'm saying? Of wealth based on a government program.
And then the gap of wealth disparity grows. Yeah,
it just continues to grow. But the part that you have to hang on is the fact that was a government program. So when you look at the black family, the family of color, and you say, well, you need to pull yourself up from your own bootstraps, work hard like my grandpa worked hard. Well, where did your grandpa get his seed money? Well, he got it from your great grandpa. Where did your great grandpa get it from? The government. Do you know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is, like, it's the same thing. It's just, like I said, the cement is settled. It was too far. It was too long ago. So now you don't notice it. You know what I'm saying? But if you've been sitting on the sideline waiting, okay, when y'all going, well, that was awesome. That program worked. Okay, well, maybe you think you could try with us now? You know what I'm saying? So if you don't get on the board, if we only have 40, 50 years on the board, you feel me? Trying to play with somebody that's got 200 years on the board, there's just and then when we were on the board, you can read about this too. You bombed the city.
Yeah, Black Wall Street.
And in Philadelphia, there was 2 of them.
There's 2 of them. Okay.
Yeah, there was a Black Wall Street in Tulsa, right? And then there was the neighborhoods in Philadelphia that just was quarantined and bombed.
Yeah.
Well,
there was also Central Park was a black neighborhood.
Central Park was a black neighborhood.
Yeah, and then they just kind of decided to take it. They bought some of them out, and some of them didn't get bought out.
Yeah. So I mean, even if it is about like the gathering of wealth, it's not like we haven't tried.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.